We are live. It says you're now live. Hello, Peter.
Good morning.
All right. Okay. We're on a countdown while we connect to Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and to Twitch. And we'll be with you in a moment. Say hello to our listeners on Royston Radio.
Is there any?
Welcome.
Is there any?
Well, 11 o'clock on Saturday, we're live on Royston Radio. Well, not live, recorded live, I suppose you'd say.
I don't listen to it because that guy Peter Stewart's on it.
That's quite possibly the Peter why some people do listen to it. So there you are. Okay, so I think we're nearly connected. 10 seconds to go. So if you've got your cup of tea, just sit down, and over the next hour, we'll talk about things that are happening in the UK starting now. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Right, how's the first British thing? How's the weather with you today?
Awful.
Awful.
Raining. It's raining up here.
Oh, right. Okay. We've had plenty of rain over the weekend. It's now a beautiful sunny day today. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Blabbing for Britain, episode 369. It seems 5 minutes. It seems 5 minutes since we did episode 350.
Never get that back.
No.
We'll be like Ken Bruce. We're getting shoved out.
Right. Okay. And I'll change the screen layout until we get to there. That's
Good morning, Stream Elements. Who is that?
Stream Elements is my friend. Because we're live on YouTube. It's a bot, and its job is to monitor anybody commenting on YouTube, and if they make a nasty comment, to tell them off and to delete the comment.
And is it owned by who's it owned by? YouTube?
Stream Elements, part of Streamlabs. It's basically a free resource for broadcasting.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to adjust something here. Just a minute.
Yeah,
how's that?
I'm a bit low. How do I
I've gone too far down now.
How do I look apart from handsome?
Coming back up again. Okay, we're pretty close. We're pretty close. I think if I need to adjust my camera, that's probably the thing. Just let me go to my stream deck and go to cameras.
This is live, people. This is live. So while Stephen's doing that, yes, the view from Aberdeen today is a brown wall, to be honest, my wall in my house. But the view from Aberdeen today is very rainy, very miserable, and it really puts a spoiler on my business work. I'm about being roofs today, but we can't get up, and we get clients phoning in. When are you doing my roof? I say when it stops raining, when we get better weather. And this is all because of the gulls, you see. The gulls are starting to appear.
Ah, right. Yeah, we've got the same situation in Devizes. Yeah. I mean, this time of year, what brings the gulls back to us this time of year?
Well, they go to breeding sites. That they basically know where they breed, and they keep coming back to the same sites, you know. Now, funnily enough, the herring gull, especially in England, is kind of, well, they're all protected now. And the herring gull has actually moved from not in my city, but from the coastline, and they've moved inland for the food, etc. And so it's quite interesting. Now, I've battled, if I made something to really move the gulls on, notice I didn't say eradicate them there, to move the gulls on, I would be a multi-millionaire, but we've yet to beat them. I've got 2 new products that have been brought in recently.
Yeah.
One that has got a visually makes them not affects the magnet in their brain or something like that. It makes them turn away from the building. And the other one is a noise one that only comes on when they recognize what bird it is. So you put in different things.
Yeah.
And when the birds come in, when they start approaching and make a noise, they go, aha, that's a herring gull. let's put out the herring distress call. And it goes out and hopefully scares them off. But at this time of year, they go back to the same roofs every year, and it never fails to amaze me. People know this is a problem, and when do they want you? They want you now, when they've known about it for ages, and everybody wants you now to help them, and they'll leave it too late. Like getting insurance once you've had a car crash. Here endeth the lesson.
Okay. Other pests this time of year are wasps.
Not yet, they're not.
Not yet. No. Right. Okay. What are the pests?
I'll tell you exactly what will happen shortly. As soon as we get good sunshine, as soon as the weather turns, we will get swarming bees. Now, what I'd like to tell your listeners, the listeners are on Royston, because it's listeners. The question I would put to you, Stephen, are honeybees protected?
I'm going to assume. Oh God, our co-host is here. I'm going to assume that are they protected? I don't know, Peter. To be honest,
It's a yes or no answer.
I'll go. Yes, they are.
They're not. Right. So honeybees are not protected. Right. However, what we do is we work with the local beekeepers, and if we can get them taken away, that's great. That's great. We'll also do a new bumblebee service. We'll go and take them away as well. But that's only if you can get to them, right? Now, if they become a public health hazard, i.e. in a chimney, nobody can get to them, and you've got hundreds of thousands of bees in a chimney coming into your living room, then that is a health hazard. It's a public health hazard. And things can be done then. Because people die each year from stings, and even beekeepers die each year.
So, look, if it becomes bad, local council can become involved.
Not really as such, right? It's not. It's basically people have to deal with it themselves.
Okay.
In some sort of way. And I'm sure out there is legislation for me and what I do. But I am sure there are people out there killing bees when the way they do it is illegal.
Right. Okay. What about when bees swarm and settle somewhere? Like I've seen photographs on cars.
Yes, well, that's a job for the beekeeper to come, and all he does is picks the queen out, puts her in a box, and they all follow. That's easy for a beekeeper, that.
Yeah, just find the queen.
Yeah.
But how do you identify the queen?
They're bigger.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then they take them away. And a swarm's worth a lot of money to a beekeeper, you see. And,
indeed.
But we had a great service. We started it last year. We get bumblebees, and so we can relocate them. And we've got a company that builds landscapes, and they've asked to take the bees from us if we get them, because they're good for the environment. You see, now being a pest controller, it's not all about elimination. But that surprises you, yeah. Now, if you see the way I look today, do you know I wear this jacket?
Yeah, you're looking good, Peter. Doesn't show on the radio there.
No, I know that, but do you know something? I started wearing this jacket like this. My top's the other bit's a bit dirty, but I just threw it on because it's a bit chilly when I come out. The way you dress, the amount of people, because I've wore this, the way you dress, the amount of people that have made comments, even young ladies in my coffee shop, you're looking very smart today, sir. I sort of thank you. They were only wanting a tip and they never got it. Now, let's explain something else. Can you see something else there, Stephen? On my picture.
Sorry about that, Peter.
Can you see what's on my lapel?
Yes, I can see the badge, yeah.
Do you know what it is?
No, I can't even zoom in, so you have to tell me.
That's fine. It's actually my lapel badge of the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, which I was a member of it, Scotland's Cavalry. I was a tank soldier. Now, I wear this badge. And when I go out, people look at it. I actually got a £35,000 order one day because of the badge. So if you're in sales, wear something that if someone's wearing a badge, I deliberately go up and say, "Oh, what's that badge?" And it starts a conversation, and you'd be surprised how many win friends and influence people wear a badge. Great for sales. So it's done me really well. And it's all about doing your homework. I look people up and say, "Oh, he's been a soldier."
Yeah.
It's a facilities manager, and I make sure I wear the badge that day. So that's me for just now. Did John come in?
John came in and then went out again. So
that's like the crap kept in. Remember that song? I done that last week.
I do. Yeah, John came in. I saw a signal coming in. He was actually on his desktop machine, so I don't know. We'll see. He's probably just testing before he goes out to make sure he's got the right place to come into.
Okay.
So we send our best wishes to Celia and to John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
cancer's a horrible thing just now. You know.
Right. It is. Right. So, question of the week is: would you go and live on the barge?
Do you know? I might do. I would go. Do you know? I was listening to this morning, right? Yeah. A TV presenter. What's her name? Julia Hartley Brewer. She takes no prisoners.
No.
And she had a lefty on, no? And she's sitting there about the prisoners. Well, the prison, or the barges. They're very well equipped. They're as good as an oil rig I've seen. They've got gyms and everything in them. And she said, it's not right. Guess what? She lives in a barge herself, this woman.
But there are barges and barges, Peter. I don't think a barge has got 100 rooms.
They have got a floating hotel there. Now, there would be many an ex-serviceman out in the streets would love a little room like that for free with 3 meals a day, you know? Because remember, these people that come over in boats and that, they're illegal immigrants.
The 500 who are going onto the barge are normal, waiting for approval.
All right, okay. Well, I beg your pardon. Well, why are they here?
They come to England, Ireland and Scotland and Wales because it's a better place to live than where they are at the moment.
Right.
And they've qualified, they've been coming to the country and now they're being processed. I think that it's going to be taken from a hotel somewhere and put onto a barge has got to be a shock to the system. Yeah.
Get a bed and 3 meals.
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
I don't know. We don't know the composition.
Well, I mean, the thing is, where does it stop, Stephen? Open the borders, let everybody. Hey, listen, I'll give up my house for you. I have no problem. Yeah, I'll go in the street for you. You take my house. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's a problem every country faces. Just so happens that.
And where's the ones in France? They're not in barges. They're not in hotels. They're in tented villages. They have to get the tents themselves.
Yeah.
It cannot go on like this. It cannot go on. We're general. The Europeans and everybody should get together and say, look, we've got to stop this migration. We can't take it anymore.
Yeah. Other European countries take more refugees than we do.
Well, they're bigger than us as a whole.
No. Similar and smaller populations than we have.
How much more do they take?
2 or 3 times, some of them.
Okay. How many have you got in your village?
I don't know.
Are you happy to have them in the village?
We don't. They don't give us the information.
But are you happy to have them in your village?
Provided
mostly young Eastern European men.
Now, providing they're law-abiding and work, I don't have a problem.
Schools.
Yeah.
Young children's schools. You happy with that?
Yeah, I mean, we're not getting. These people are not the dregs of society. These are normal people who have chosen to be in England. Yeah, they're not criminals. They are
How did these
ordinary
people
folk.
get over? Do you know how this lot got over? Did they
John
come?
might do.
Did they come on? Did they come on little boats? Because if they did, they're illegal immigrants. They've broken the law to get into this country.
Yeah, but then we're not talking about. I hate saying this, but little boat people. Let's welcome John.
There's
3, 2,
John.
1.
His head's
Morning,
now
Hello.
down.
Morning. We're back home.
Right.
Oh, very
Hospital
good. That
was
was great.
super efficient this morning. In at 9:30 and out at 5 to 10.
Very good.
Brilliant.
But XSplit wouldn't find my camera, so I had to reboot my machine. That's why you saw me pop in and go back out again.
Yes, I saw you do that, and I thought it would be camera situation. Right, we're talking about barges and immigration, Peter and I.
Yeah.
Have you any thoughts on the barge? The barge? John?
This one that can hold 200 men, is it?
500 men, 100 room.
500 men, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't got any thoughts whatsoever
Okay.
because
Right.
I only saw it very quickly this morning.
Can I just say, we've got a hotel, right, just in the outskirts of Aberdeen here, a place called West Hill, a posher area. It's a posher area. Now, this hotel looks like the barge, actually, right? Now, guess what? It was there for the oil. It's bang in the heart of the oil companies. There's no oil companies there anymore. The places are basically derelict and shut down, and about 2 cars in the car park. They're all working from home, etc. So guess what they've decided to do?
No idea. Carry on.
They've decided to put refugees in the hotel in the posh area. And there's absolute outroar by the lefty lovies, not in my backyard.
Well, we have a similar situation in Sutton Coalfield, which is probably a posh area of Birmingham, I guess.
Yes.
And they even cancelled people's weddings to allow it to happen.
Yeah.
And people are pretty annoyed about the fact that there are refugees in Sutton Coalfield because it's posh.
Why shouldn't they go there?
I don't live in Sutton Coalfield. So
No, but
don't
what I'm
affect
saying is,
me.
why
I'm
shouldn't they
just
go
talking
there?
about other people's NIMBY attitudes.
Correct. Now, it goes back to, see, when we had our Aberdeen bypass, we had a bypass. Not me, I had a triple, but they had one bypass, right? And it was to the left of the west end of Aberdeen, where all the posh people were. Now, when that went, there was absolute pandemonium. There was much tears, much grief, because they only got a limited amount for their houses, and these are all the millionaires. Oh, how they cried, you know. Yeah, we've got a development which is a pretty a poorer area, right? It's a famous one. They knocked down all the tenements, and not a word was said.
No, that's true of many things, Peter. If people don't have a voice, then they can't be heard, and certain sections of the population don't have the right to voice their opinions, or at least not listened to.
Very much what HS2 has done.
Yeah.
Certainly in it here and in the Thames Valley and all round up there, Chilterns and that. Compulsory purchase of houses, and people are not happy.
Should we go on with that HS2?
Well, it's all the way to Birmingham now. It's all cut out, so you might as well finish it. Whether you take it further north, well, that's the...
When's it coming to Aberdeen?
Well, it's got to go to Manchester and Leeds first.
Oh, no, bypass them. Come to me. Why should I always have to suffer?
Well,
No doubt it will eventually, but the cost overruns are just horrendous. The costs have gone up by leaps and bounds.
But yeah, listen, we've come a long way from the Roman roads and etc. We've got to get an infrastructure that's right for everybody, but just not for the lovies going down to their big paid jobs in London.
Yeah.
You've got to serve Leeds to Manchester or whatever, cross country, the Pennines. Everybody's got to get a share, not just for the few. It's got to be. Why not have one from Wick right down to Glasgow? Because they're not there. Did you know they were thinking of taking a railway back to Peterhead? Did you know that?
No.
That's north of you, isn't it, Peter?
It's kind of north of Peterhead.
It's north of Peter.
It's a dour place. It's called the Blue Toon because your face is blue with the cold, and there's a famous prison there, Peterhead Prison, where all the murderers and everything went. But there was a famous man called Johnny Raminsky. Did you hear about him?
No.
I'll tell you the story. Johnny Raminsky was a safe breaker, okay, before the Second World War. He was a great escape artist. And every time they put him to Peterhead Prison, which was meant to be unescapable, he escaped 3 times. So they got hold of him during the war and they said, Johnny, you're very good at this and you're a good safe breaker. We'd like you to join the army and we're putting you to Germany and we've got special missions for you. And he did. He went in and broke into safes and things. And that was the famous Johnny Raminsky.
Isn't there a new prison at Peterhead? Didn't they build one next door to it?
Yeah, there's a brand new prison.
Guess where I know that from?
Oh, a certain detective.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing it was, do you know what else it was famous for? Peterhead Prison.
Yeah, the character wasn't a detective when he was moved to be a sergeant up at I can't think of the name, the flipping little town up there, just round the corner.
Yeah, well, let me tell you what it's famous for as well. One day, the prisoners went into revolt, and they took prison officers captive, and one was called Jackie Stewart, and they took him on to the top of the prison and threatened to throw him off and everything. Do you know how it finished?
No, are you going to tell us?
Yes. Maggie Thatcher put the SAS in.
All right.
And it was done within minutes. They went in, bopped him, didn't kill them, but bopped him and whatever. And Jackie Stewart, who's an old man now, he's actually one of the guys that takes you around the prison. It's now a museum, by the way, the prison. Yeah? And that's the story of Peterhead Prison.
Right. Okay, we say good morning to Alfredo, who is in the USA, a good friend of the show. And Alfredo is saying interesting and hello there. Right. Okay, because we are international, we are also on Royston Radio. So to everybody listening on Royston Radio, thank you for listening. If you've got any questions for Peter, John, or I, then please do ask. I'm sure I'll find you. And I'm going to turn Peter's microphone on. Okay, Peter's just got a phone call. Just proves that this is live. It is currently 10:24 or 11:24 if you're listening. And the other thing I just want to talk about is, well, I'll wait till Peter comes in to talk about the next thing. Okay, what about West Ham, John?
I don't know. Has something happened today then?
They got thumped 5-1 yesterday.
Still have they sacked him yet today then or not?
No, David Moyes is still there. They haven't sacked him.
Well, the key thing is they're doing really well in Europe. So they don't want to get rid of him because he's got good experience in that area.
They don't want to go down either. They're just above the relegation zone in the Premiership. Yeah, we've got you, Peter. Mike's on.
They do have they're on 27 equal with 3 other teams. Yeah, but that they do have a game in hand on the others.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Everton.
This thing is that should they win and gain 3 points, instead of being down at the bottom, they'll be near the middle of the table. That's how close it is in the bottom of
this year. Yeah, there's about 10 teams within 3 points of each other.
Yeah.
Amazing situation. Okay, so I just noticed Alfredo's watching on YouTube and on Facebook. Okay, right now, I'm going to put something on the screen. A sound that could save your life. UK disaster alert to bus phones on the 23rd of April. This is a national test of an alarm system, and it is at 3 p.m. on the 23rd of April. It will be on your phone. You won't be able to stop it. You don't have to do anything with it. You just have to listen for 10 seconds and then it will disappear. This is a test. 3rd of April. Sorry, 23rd of April, 3 o'clock. Good thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, it replaces the older air raid siren, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just need to have
only got an
mobile,
old telephone.
yeah, you just need to have a mobile phone. It just
Yeah.
needs to be switched on. And as you don't have to do anything, I mean, the government will, telecoms systems will be able to work out how many people actually saw it.
Yeah.
So that's obviously the first thing, how many people actually get it on their phones.
Yeah.
You can turn it off, by the way.
Yeah.
You don't have to accept it.
You don't have to listen for the 10 seconds. You probably hear it. That's Peter's going to get a coffee.
No, you can stop your phone from receiving it.
Why would you want to do that? I mean, the whole point. I know it just sounds Irish to me, John, because the whole point of this is to be in the loop if the government do need to send us an urgent message.
Yeah, well,
So if they
lots
send,
of conspiracy theorists think that it's going to take us all over, and the government wants to gain control of your phone. But there is a setting actually to stop it in Android.
You can't hear my machine, can you?
yes, we can.
Yeah.
No, what is this? I'm having problems with my friend Crisp. Hold on now. Because it's not. I've upgraded it and it's not working. I'm annoyed. Yeah, sign in. That's right, sign in.
Yeah,
Because
it
I had
wasn't very,
problems with it yesterday.
the machine's not very loud, Peter, but
Oh, I'm annoyed at this.
right. So just a reminder then, sound that could save your life. UK disaster alert to bus phones, 23rd of April, 3 p.m. And as John said, if you're on Android, you can switch it off.
But when it buzzes, what does it tell me?
It just shows the message. Yeah. This is
So
a
it
national.
actually gives you a message as well as buzzing.
No. It just comes up as a message on the screen and buzzes. I don't know. We'll know on the 23rd at 3 o'clock. But it is.
I just don't know what it achieves. Anyway, as you said, we'll find out on the 23rd.
That's right. Basically, it's testing it so that if the government do need to get a message out to everybody instantly, they know that it works. Yeah. I mean, if millions of people report back on the 23rd and say, I didn't get a thing. Yeah. And the telecoms will know who got the message and who didn't, which numbers got the message. So then they do a review and decide whether it's working or not. I mean, technically, it shouldn't be a problem, should it? It's just sending out a message with a sound. Plus a little bit more, probably.
Do you ever wish you hadn't upgraded something? Because I haven't
Constantly.
been Crisp.
Yeah. Right. Crisp is, when we're live now, the idea is that the only voices you can hear are the voices of the three of us. And in order for that to happen, we use a program called crisp.ai. Crisp is spelt with a K. And that cancels out all background noises. If my dog barked, you wouldn't hear it. Well, you wouldn't hear it anyway, because I don't have a dog. But that's the sort of thing. You won't hear any background noises. The only thing you'll hear is our own voices. And Peter's just upgraded his software.
Can I try this? Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not working just now then. Right, end of that.
Can you hear this?
Yeah. Okay.
You can hear that?
No.
You didn't hear anything?
No.
Right, okay, mine's working. Okay. What happens when you go into Chris, Peter?
I'll have to look at it. It's opening
All right,
up
okay.
another panel, the billing to upgrade the Pro, but I've already bought it.
Well, in that case, you just need to log in.
Yeah, but then when I sign in, it's asking for Microsoft or something. Hold on.
Right, okay. So
Not
it's the login
Microsoft.
that's the problem. So you've still got your license. You just need to log in, and that's why
I'll have to
it's not
sort that
working
out,
because
yeah.
you're allowed so much for free, and then it just gives up the ghost. Hmm.
Okay. It's a very, very good system, but I'll have to sit and work it out. Right. Are we
Yeah.
talking politics today?
Well, you live in the most political part of Great Britain at the moment, don't you?
Absolutely. No, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do, right? Oh, Andrew Fruit. Okay. I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. Now, you know I'm not an SNP supporter. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do a trial by media. I'm going to give them their day in court if it's going to go to court. Okay? But there has never been such a big split in the Scottish National Party. There's another two broken off. Nicola Sturgeon resigned. She left her house yesterday at 8:10, and the police were at a house at 8:30. Now, looking back, we're looking at everything it done. Did you know that this was going to happen before our new First Minister got in, Humza? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you know the police agreed not to do the investigation until he was shoehorned in? Did you know that?
No.
Right. So the investigation, that actually paused the investigation, Nicola resigned, and they paused so they could get the new First Minister in. Not only was he the leader of SNP, but he became a First Minister. And I think that is terrible. How could a political party say, don't you investigate us at the moment, right? But we do this. Now, it's said, if this had come out before, the legacy person, which is Humza, keep forgetting his second name, I do apologise, he's been basically patted on the head and put into that position.
Mm-hmm.
People are furious. How would that have happened if the Conservatives have said, Boris Johnson's getting looked in at the moment, can we pause it at the moment? Just for the moment, and you can look at your any criminal activity later. Now, at 8:30 yesterday morning, her house was absolutely packed with police. You'd think there'd been a death, a murder, because they've got a big blue tent in front of her house, and they're actually digging up the back garden. Can you believe that?
That
And
sounds.
at the same
Yeah.
time, they raided Scottish National Party headquarters.
Yeah.
Did you know that was happening?
Not until after the fact, Peter.
Well, there you go. What do you think of them pausing the investigation?
The pause is new, but I can believe it taking place. The moment you've got a government, which is the SNP, led by the SNP,
Yeah.
and what you don't want is a total collapse of the government, unless if you can avoid it. And obviously they have avoided that because there's a new leader of the party. But I've got a question for you,
Yeah.
Peter. Do you think this is the end of the SNP?
I do. One of the problems they said they had 107,000 members or something.
Yeah.
But, however, it's actually dropped about 50,000, and I do believe it's dropped more than that.
Yeah.
And there's one guy, I think it's called Wings Over Scotland, and he's calling out the journalists now. He put all their names with an at Twitter. He says, I told you about this months ago. Not one of you investigated it. No, they're trying to backtrack. And he says, Oh, this man never got in touch. He says, here's the tweet I gave you in a direct message. He copied everything. The journalists are complicit. Okay? They wouldn't investigate. There's no real journalism anymore. That's the problem. It's too much party political journalists, I see. But and that's what's happened in Scotland. And we are a mess at the moment. And I do not think that party will survive. And there's more to come out. There's more to come out.
Do you think Labour will become the leading party in Scotland?
Well, that may be a problem if Sir Keir Starmer doesn't get his act together. What is a woman, Sir Keir? I could tell you easily, but it would be too rude for this programme. I know what the difference is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But I'll tell you who's going to come back, and he's already grown in the polls. And you know who that is? Alex Salmond. He was
his party called?
Alba.
Alba.
And it's went up in the ratings already. Yeah? And a lot of people that SNP members, I believe, used to say this and say that and say, all their tweets are blocked now. They've shut down their Twitter profiles at the moment. There's a lot to come out of this. Now, here's another thing, and then I'll go on to England after that. Here's another. Right. When Nicola resigned, the chief constable resigned. So did the justice person, or whoever it was. So did the PR person for the party. And it goes on and on and on, all the resignations. But a couple of years before that, the treasurer left because they wouldn't tell him where the £600,000 ring-fenced money, they wouldn't tell him where it is. And that's that. Now, let's go into England. Right, let's go into an MP. Should MPs get paid about 200,000 a year, 250, and they're not allowed to do any other work outside it?
That would be, I think, preferable. I can't see it happening though, because they're going to have to vote for it themselves, and the way Parliament is structured, those who are actually earning an income outside Parliament would vote against it, and so therefore getting it through Parliament, first hurdle, it would just fall because self-interest. Yeah. Basically, if I'm earning consultancy fee from somebody, then I'm going to say I want that consultancy fee, because they make the argument that they can just about exist on their parliamentary salaries. The other end of the scale, people are making the argument can't exist, just simply don't have enough food, can't pay for the power. So you've got two ends of the scale. Yeah. Well,
let's look at Donald Trump. Look at what he done when he became president. One, he gave his salary to charity. Are you aware of that?
Yes, he's got more money than.
And he also, I think he gave up. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he gave up his interests in his businesses and passed it on to his family. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
On paper, yes.
Yeah. I mean, he could get it back later, but he's still done it, right? That's the problem. Look at my friend Rees Mogg. He's loaded, absolutely loaded, but it's his business, you know. So why do they go into Parliament? I'll tell you why they're going. It's for the prestige. That's why they go in. Look at me. Look at me. I'm an MP. You know, you can't do this. I seen a great thing with a young policewoman stopping a man in America who was going to be putting his name up for the sheriff and things. He says, "Do you know who I am?" She goes, "Yes, I know who you are." Well, I'll get your job taken from you. I'm going to phone your boss. Guess who won? The young policewoman. And it was great to see, because the man apologized and says he went over the top and blah, 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 blah. And he pulled his candidates out. They're bullies. Right, I'm going to let you two get in.
It's very kind.
I just wanted to talk about your chief constable, Sir Ian Livingstone.
Yeah.
Why do you link that to her resigning.
The one that resigned.
He didn't resign. He's retiring. He's
Yeah.
taken up he's
He's
56,
the new one.
and all policemen have the option to retire at 56.
Yeah, but it was the one before him, isn't it?
He's been there since 2017.
Right. Well, he's resigning now, all of a sudden.
He's not resigning. He's retiring at 56.
Same thing. I think I'll go retiring.
He could have retired early, John. We don't know. The truth is something which is so elusive.
All policemen can, provided they've done 30 years service, can retire at 56.
Yes, I know that. However, there was a lot of resignations at the same time.
Yeah, nobody's gainsaying that. The observation is that the timing was interesting, and no allegations either way. Hello to Alfredo, and thank you for dropping the link to crisp.ai, which is our noise cancellation system of choice. Yeah. Okay. Anything happening in Solihull, John?
No, not really. Miracle turnaround by the NHS this morning. We were in at 9:30 on time and back out at there. Last time we went for the same appointment, it took 2 hours. So I think they all want everybody gone and out the door before the bank holiday.
Yeah.
They have been absolutely brilliant. Cannot criticise the NHS whatsoever. They've been brilliant with Celia, and they're now going to do monthly heart checks with her as well.
Yes.
As to anything happening in Solihull, we're having yet another spate of car thefts, car burglaries. There are loads of films going round of people's ring doorbells, etc., watching people checking car doors, etc.
Okay.
But nothing exciting.
Did you know you're meant to have a plaque on you? If you use that as evidence, it would be inadmissible, because you're meant to have a little plaque saying, we're watching you, sort of thing. Here's my name and here's my phone number. You can get access to it.
Well, we don't have a phone number on ours, but we have a CCTV notice at the allotments.
Well, you're meant to have a phone number on it.
We've had this notice for a long time and a pretend camera, but we do have real cameras now.
Yeah, because I used to sell security cameras, and that's the law. Yeah, and it's got to be more than 10% of your face before they can really use it in evidence.
Well, we've got some pretty good pictures of people coming on from the video cameras, but the bobbies are not interested in the slightest. What did they take? A fork and spade and...
Yeah. All right. I'm going to tell you what's been happening in Wiltshire. Every Saturday at 9 o'clock, Angelica and I are in Melksham at the King George V Park, along with 150 other people. And we run round the park. We do a 5K, a park run, which is 3.1 miles for those listening in the States. And the idea is you try and beat your own personal best. Now, it's not... you're actually challenging yourself to do better than you did last time. But sometimes the weather can take over. And last Saturday, it had been raining for 2 days. And the River Avon, which runs alongside the race, especially the path, started to overflow. It started to flood its banks. And when we set off, there was just a trickle of water going across the path. And then on the way back, first time, it was about 1 inch deep in water. Third time over that section, it was 3 inches deep and in water. And in the end, we were running or jogging through 5 inches of flood water from the River Avon. It was quite that's the thing we do for fun. After the event, it's fun. At the time, it's wet. So we're hoping this weekend that when we do the park run in Melksham, 9 o'clock on Saturday, that if you're nearby, you can actually join us, and the sun will be shining. We've been assured that by the weather forecasters. But Parkrun, we're doing our 21st one this week. It's made a total change to the way we sort of structure our week. We look forward to it every single Saturday. And I've got my ice badge with me and everything is good. So I'm looking forward to Parkrun on Saturday.
Okay.
So,
Well,
it's a great
I'd
week.
love to do a park run again, but I walked a mile last night because I might be
Okay.
getting arthritis in my feet, guys. Did I tell you that? Yeah, might be getting arthritis. I'm getting old. Yeah.
But
Right.
you're the junior here. How can you say you're getting old, junior?
I feel that I'm 63. Yeah. No, 63 I am. Can you remember what you were doing at age 23?
That would be a while ago. I was
Obviously.
I was an accountant.
Okay.
I joined ACT at 23 years of age.
And how did you feel at that age? Did you feel as though you were an adult?
Yeah, I was 2 years married.
Richer than I feel today.
Right. It's interesting because I'm finding it very, very difficult to get someone to take my job down in Edinburgh area, right, in the Southern Belt. My whole industry is the same. I've phoned around. We're quiet at the moment, and we're having problems people taking on jobs. Okay, and they get a van, they get commission, they get overtime and everything. I've got a couple of people. This is what happens, folks. I line them up for interviews. Yeah, that sounds great. And guess what happens? They don't turn up for the interview. I had one guy paid off from a company, young lad, and he said, "Oh, I'm looking for." I says, "Well, with a wee bit of experience you've got, there's a job here for you." And guess what? Midnight, he emailed me back. "Oh, I'm going back to my old job. They're taking me back." It was a spoiler because he must have said he was getting a job with me. So I've got this 23-year-old guy, and this is why I was going to wait to put jobs out in over 50s, to be honest with you, over 50 sites. And this young lad, 23, come up and he says, "I'm looking for a new career." And I thought, okay, and I thought what I was doing at 23. Well, I'd already started my career. And at 19, when I look back, 19, I was walking the streets with a rifle in my hand in Belfast. I was driving a Chieftain tank down the streets of Berlin. So I'm going to have to give people the benefit they don't know. And see, put your views on that.
I think it's a sign of the times that people don't stick to their word and aren't bothered. If they put you out, tough luck. They don't care. Inconvenience to you doesn't matter.
It's quite interesting, is it? And
Sorry, Peter.
On you go, Stephen.
No, we've got to the stage where people can be choosy about jobs.
Yeah.
There aren't enough people. We haven't got enough people.
Yeah, but back to when we were in our 20s, you could move to a job tomorrow and move to a job the day after because people just moved and moved and moved.
Do you think we remain too much on benefits then, society?
It's a very difficult one. I mean, this is slightly changing the situation, but last night I came out of Lidl and there's a young lad that he's begging outside Lidl. His name is Brandon, and I hadn't seen him for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And we do talk. And he said, "Oh, John, how are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm fine. How are you?" And he said, "Well, it's my birthday today." And he's 25 and he's sat outside Lidl with a cup trying to collect money.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, why are you here?" You know? And he said simply, "I can't find anywhere to live and I can't find a job." And I didn't know what to say to that, if I'm really honest.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's just no accommodation. I mean, my granddad that I never met, there was a place in Aberdeen called the Modeler, right? That was the name of it. But it's where what we used to call down and outs would live. And my granddad was in there. Never met him. But it was even going back then, there was people, well, they weren't living in the streets. They had a place for them, you know. And I'll just tell the viewers, many years ago, 20, 25 years ago, I think it was now, I was 7 days from being on the street. I had 7 black bags to my name. That's all I had. And I was living in a porta cabin in London. If I didn't get the job I had in London, driving a lorry, I would have been on the streets on the 8th day. So I know what it was nearly like. And I lived in a porta cabin for a year, John. And can I just say to the listeners, it was probably one of the best things I had in my life. Metal locker and a metal chair and a metal bed. But I didn't have to pay for it, and I seen the whole of London, all the museums. So that's my story. I was down, but I did keep something. I did have something, £25,000 of credit card debt from my wife, which I've now paid off. And it can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody.
There, but for the grace of God.
Yeah. And I had my triple heart bypass, and if I hadn't employed people, I wouldn't be here sitting talking to you today.
Is it the grace of God, or is it the fact that our generation gets off their backside and does things?
I think we had as many people idlers then as we do now. I don't think there's the thing that has changed in our lifetimes is people's attention span.
Mm-hmm.
We want something to happen instantly. We're getting, well, not we, but in general, we're getting patient, waiting for things. We watch something for 5 minutes, or read something for 30 seconds. We just move on to the next thing. We've got so much information in our lives, we don't know what to focus on.
You are absolutely. I'm a YouTube man. I get up and look at YouTube, then I'll look at Twitter, see what I've just recently installed Twitter again, and then the TV's on in the background. I hardly watch the TV, and then I have to put in earplugs because Sheila watches the news, and I look at this and I look at that. But I've only got about a 10-minute attention span now.
Yep, it's gone down. Gone down the pan.
You know,
he said, looking at his iPad. Just a minute. I was looking for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Pete. I'm quiet now.
No, it's okay. I'll let John get 5 seconds in. That's it. You've had your turn. You're too late. No, but what about you, John? Do you watch the normal television?
No.
Yeah.
If I watch some, actually, that's not true. I will watch normal television. We don't have our evening meal till late because Phil works till 10. He's not home till like 10 past 10. Celia, since she's been ill, she doesn't have dinner with us very often, but I always wait for him to come home because I would never see him otherwise.
Yeah.
Because he's in his room, on his PC, or he's asleep. So I was there, and we will have the telly on when that's there. And I will watch programs then.
Yeah.
But not very many different ones. I mean, last night we watched Forged in Fire, and then we watched the history of British Rail with Chris Tarrant, which I thought was absolutely fascinating.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I got Forged in Fire, where you get 4 blokes come in and they're given a chunk of car or a chunk of metal, and then they have to make a knife, or a commando knife it was last night. And then it narrows it down to 2, and then they have to create a historic weapon in their own forges. But I don't watch much telly other than that, I mean, I certainly don't watch The Apprentice, although I did watch a couple of them on BBC iPlayer. But
well, I've been starting to read books, and George Galloway had one about when Hitler won and they took over Britain. It was quite similar to called The Fatherland. That was a great book.
I remember. In fact, there's a copy of Fatherland up on the shelf.
I enjoyed that. So George Galloway's got one out I just read. But the other one I'm reading is about Rupert, not Rupert. What was the other one? It was found off a Tenerife bobbing, Big Bob Maxwell, you know?
Oh, yeah.
What tyrant he was to his family, by the way. So I'm reading about his empire and what he done. And I quite like biographies and to see what people have done. Not too much into fiction. Well, I do a bit of fiction, but not a lot. A book has really got to grab my attention. Usually it's the Second World War.
I'm struggling with the latest Stuart McBride. It's just got too weird, and I've put it down.
I'll tell him when I see it.
It's too weird because it's all about imagination of some policewoman, and she's imagining things.
All right.
And I've given up with it.
Okay, well, I'll tell him.
I love Stuart McBride books.
Stuart McBride books is from Aberdeen. And I happen to know him. I'll say, "Oi, my mate says you're getting a weirdo."
Yeah, you can tell him that.
You wouldn't have given me. I couldn't get an autograph for you. You know, I tried to get it.
You got him to sign the book for me.
I know. Did he sign it?
Yeah, of course he did. You sent it to me in the post.
Oh, right. Well, I did get it then. You know,
You're going balmy, you are.
Right.
A lot's happened in the last 8 years. At the moment on Netflix, we're watching a series, and I knew nothing about the story. And the series is called War Sailor. And basically, it's a Norwegian program, and it's all about the Norwegian Navy during World War II. And I had no idea that 7,000 ships from Norway were actually running supplies for England. They're actually, you know, I mean, it's just staggering. It's part of history that's been forgotten. And it's a good job they've actually told the story on Netflix.
And were they running out of Montrose Harbour?
Yeah, it's incredible story.
Quick story. A dog, Bamsa, it's called, escaped. A Newfoundland dog, came with the Norwegian Navy, stayed in Montrose. Everybody knew him locally. Watched the football, saved 2 people's lives. Went forward of the boats out at sea, and he could hear the German planes coming. Unfortunately, he died at the side of the harbour, and they've got a big monument for him. I'll get a picture sometime and put it up. Yeah. And that's Bamsa. And every time a Norwegian Navy frigate passes, they all stand to and salute.
Right, it's time to say once again that there's going to be an alert on the 23rd of April at 3 p.m. Sound that could save your life. It's the testing of the UK National Disaster Alert System. You'll get a message on your phone at 3 p.m. on the 23rd. Don't need to do anything with it. John says if you're on Android, you can switch it off before it happens. But it is a national test. So if your phone goes off at 3 o'clock, it's going to be completely normal. And it's time to say, John, it's over to you.
I must be running 2 minutes behind.
It's only 10:58 here as well. It's obviously faster. Clocks are going faster in Wiltshire. So what we can do is we can talk about, are Burnley going to go up, and will they still have the same manager at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Oh, rumour has it that he's going to go and be a Premier League manager before the end of the season.
Nope and nope.
No, they're not going up, and no, he's not going to become a Premier League manager.
Right.
Yes, they are going up.
I'm in shock. The Villa are 7th.
And that's it for football, folks. Can I just tell you, as a young soldier in Berlin, they had exercise rocking horse during the night. And the first rocking horse exercise they never told the civilian population it was happening. So they put it out. Hooters and everything going. Some people committed suicide because they thought the Russians were coming. exercise a rocking horse.
All right. Well, let's get on to happier things.
Oh,
I don't know about you, but when I came into this program, it was raining, and now the sunshine is absolutely glorious.
oh, lovely.
So it's now 11. So it's goodbye from me in the West Midlands. It's goodbye from him down there in Wiltshire, and our odd fellow up there in Scotland. So bye. Same
Bye.
time, same place next week.
Bye.